You can get an arc of ruthlessness. You can ascend to media status, television star, presidency, but now you're a lonely train wreck asshole.
Right.
I mean, is that what you want? I don't want that.
So I want to just go right at this because I can tell this guy's a cool dude. Yeah, we're rolling. We're rolling. Everything's rolling.
We're rolling right now?
We're rolling.
Action.
Action. Shots.
What's your name?
I'm Zach Adler.
I'm Label.
What is your birthday? What's your sign?
May 30th, 94. I'm a Gemini.
Gemini, right? He's got a lot going on in there. What is your birthday?
Scorpio, November 6th, 93.
Okay, yeah, I'm a Capricorn. I just turned 59. Imagine.
You turned 59?
Yes.
59.
Hello?
Yeah.
You could say it because I was going to say it.
No, you look 20 years younger than that.
Lie to me. It's good. It's good. Lie to me. Flattery will get
It's
you
not.
everywhere.
I promise it was.
Well, let me tell you something. Okay, you got to live right in your brain to stay young. Even if your body's starting to age, you can stay young if you live right. Don't cheat people. Don't be a schnorrer. Don't be a gonif. You know what I'm talking about, okay? If you do those things, you can have a great life. If you don't do those things, no matter how much money you have, you'll always be miserable.
I love that
Amen
lesson.
to that.
And I feel like that was the lesson I was going to ask at the very end of the podcast, but we started
No,
it off this way.
let's go where you want to go. It's your podcast, Mr.
No,
Label.
I actually want to harp
Mr.
on
Label.
that for a
Yeah,
second.
let's go.
I want to harp on that because
Just make me look taller and thinner, okay? Because my agent promised me if we were using cameras, I was going to look tall and thin.
We got
I
you.
never.
I'm a little disappointed I didn't get any makeup or hairspray for this event, but I'm okay.
Listen,
I
we'll know for next
survive
time.
it. All right, go ahead.
Yeah. You mentioned when we just walked in here that you know Yiddish and that you took Yiddish
So
classes.
I took a course in college called From Shtetl to Suburbia, an introduction to Yiddish literature and modern Jewish literature, right? So sort of like Reform Jewish literature, right? So it went from the Tevier stories like Shalom Aleichem, Shalom Ash, the Golem,
Sure.
the lottery ticket. You know these stories. Come on, you guys grew up like this. And then it transitioned into things like I.B. Singer and Philip Roth. You know, so it gave you the whole spectrum, going from the Eastern European shtetls, dealing with the pogroms, into the Holocaust, out to the United States, into Goodbye Columbus. You know, your parents know Goodbye Columbus,
Yeah.
written by Philip Roth.
You took this course in Tufts or Harvard?
Tufts. Yeah, Sol Gittleman was my professor. He's 90 years old. He's a great guy. He's still living up there.
Really?
It's amazing.
Wow.
Amazing guy, yeah.
My question to you is, you grew up, obviously, I did my research for this. I'm not afraid
Yeah.
to admit that totally. Just
Yeah.
put it out there. You're definitely the biggest guest we've had on. And again, I just want to start off by the way, saying thank you for taking your time.
I'm very happy to be here. I grew up on Long
You grew up
Island.
blue collar.
I've been to more bar mitzvahs and bar mitzvahs than Sweet 16s.
Right.
Because I grew up on Long Island. I mean, there was synagogues every 5 minutes,
Yeah.
you know.
That's amazing. I live on Long Island right now myself. But you grew up in a blue-collar home, you've said. Yet you landed up in Harvard. How did that transition happen?
So it's funny you say that because it was a jackass journalist. It was like, there's no way this guy grew up in a blue-collar neighborhood because how did he get into Harvard? So they sent like a truck out to my mother's house, and then they were banging on her door. My mother was like, get the fuck off. You allowed to curse on this stuff?
hell yeah.
My mother was like, get the fuck off the lawn. I'm like, Ma, that's how I got in trouble, Ma. You got to stop the cursing. You know what I mean? You remember what I said about Steve Bannon, which was legendary.
Yes.
Total scumbag, low life. But I mean, at least I called it right, and I've been vindicated 6 years later. I mean, these people are no good. You can't act like that.
Right.
You can't be like that. You can't be a white supremacist and into racial purity and all this stupid nonsense and live in part of the president's administration. I mean,
Right.
it's nuts.
I actually wanted to speak. Obviously, everyone asks you on the Trump,
We
saga.
can talk about anything.
I
Well,
know.
we talk sports, politics, FTX,
History.
Judaism,
All written down.
history. I'll give you my thoughts on Judaism. I'll talk about anything that you want to talk about. Go ahead.
That's one of the things I was very excited for. I could tell that you're going to say it how it is and you don't hold back at all. So that's awesome. Regarding Trump, I did, when I was looking through everything, you were clearly voted Democrat. You voted for Obama. You voted for Hillary, I think, in 2008. And then you were very anti-Trump while he was running, yet signed onto his cabinet, and obviously took the position of director of communications. And we're even pro him, it seems like,
but
after you're fired.
All right, but just remember, that's like a Wikipedia hazing of what actually happened, right? Because what
Understood.
happens when you go into politics, they get all these kids to write nasty shit about you on Wikipedia, and it totally distorts everything, right? So I never voted for Hillary Clinton. I wrote her one check in the year 2000 when she was running for the Senate. Why? One of my buddies, I'm a New Yorker, this is a liberal town, one of my buddies was supporting her, happened to be a client of mine. So I wrote her a check.
Right.
So then everyone said, "Oh, he's a Hillary Clinton supporter," because they're trying to shit on me because the Republicans hate Hillary Clinton for whatever reason. Barack Obama and I went to law school together. So when he ran for president in 2008, I was not that active in presidential politics. I was a lifelong Republican, and I was very active in what I would call local politics. I supported Mayor Giuliani. I supported George Pataki. I was with Alphonse D'Amato. Okay, I had local Republican Party politics, and so I was fairly agnostic to the presidency stuff. When Obama announced his presidency, one of my best friends said to me, "Hey, I want you to go support the guy." And I said, "Okay." I didn't really know Barack Obama. So I went to the University Club. It was July of 2007. I had a check in my pocket. I went over to the senator. I said, "Senator," I said, "I'm about to write you a big check." I said, "I want to lie to people and tell them that you and I really knew each other well in law school. Are you cool with that?" And Barack Obama, who has the best smile in American politics since Jack Kennedy, he lit up. He said, "I'll tell you what, if you double the amount of the check, we can take it back to Hawaii."
That's amazing.
Okay, so I took the check, I ripped it up, I had another check in my pocket, I doubled it, and I gave it to him. Obviously, we didn't go to school in Hawaii.
That's amazing.
We did go to law school together. And I went to more Barack Obama Christmas parties at the White House than I did Donald Trump parties. But I'm a social, inclusive person. I'm sort of agnostic to the whole debate about the social stuff. If it's a woman's right, that's fine by me. I'm Roman Catholic, so if I'm a believer in the right to life and you're a believer in the right to choose, okay, I cede your right to you, cede my right to me. That's all I'm saying about that. I'm a big believer that we have to run the country through the regulated free market system. You don't want to socialize a country like this. I'm not up for unequal. I'm not up for equal outcomes. Okay, I'm more up for equal opportunity.
Yes.
You know, we got to help poor people get a start so they can get to the game. So you asked a good question. You know, Harvard's an elitist school. You grew up in an unelitist background. How the hell did you get in there? And there's a lot of interesting coincidences and pieces of luck that helped me get in there. One of them is Saul Gittleman, the guy that taught the Yid Lit. He knew a lot of Harvard faculty. He wrote my recommendation. Remember, I was down the block at Tufts. I had a very high LSAT score. I graduated magna cum laude from Tufts, and they gave me a shot. And I still give money to Harvard every year because of it, because I'm grateful to them.
Yeah, gratitude is a huge principle. By us also, like on the
But that's how I got in. There's no
Yeah.
Scaramucci Law Library yet, so there's no legacy, none
you
of that
didn't practice
stuff.
law for even a day, did you, though?
No,
You went straight to Goldman Sachs.
I went right to Goldman.
I know so many people, by the way, that did law that are very successful businessmen that like orthodox guys that I know that went to law school, graduated, never touched a day in law. It's interesting. It's
Do
like
you
a
ever
thing.
think about that, though? What would have happened if you had taken a different route?
Yeah, but not really. You know, when you're an entrepreneur, you learn to think forward. You don't think in reverse because it's bad for you, you know. Lao Tzu, when he wrote Tai Ching, he had a great line in a book. I'll paraphrase it for you. If I'm worried, if I'm depressed, I'm thinking too much about my past. Because you see what happens in life, you got choices and forks in the road, and sometimes you can make bad choices. You're going to make mistakes. You're going to go in the wrong direction. And so you have to let it go. You know, I let the millstone of regret, I take the millstone and I drop it every morning. I don't kick myself in the pants for getting fired from the White House or teaming up with Sam Bankman-Fried or making a mistake investing. You don't do that, right? So you let it go. Flip side is if you're thinking too much about the future, well, then you get filled with anxiety.
Yeah.
Right? So your
Present.
path to happiness and prosperity and health is right here in the present. And so Lao Tzu understood this. He wrote this 2,600 years ago. Don't think about the past. You get depressed. Don't overly think about the future. You can't control that either.
Right.
Let it go. But right now, today, this moment, as we're each taking a breath, is our moment. Let's enjoy the moment.
It's interesting you bring that up, and I want to tie it into the Trump thing because I was watching one of your interviews and you basically gave a strong psychoanalysis on President Trump.
It was
Or the form-
nuts. The guy was nuts.
Granted, but you gave
Very
a strong.
insecure.
Yes, yeah. You
Una poco pisciadell. You know what that means? He had a very tiny schmeckle, the poor guy. You know, when I met with Stormy and I got the facts from her, I was like, oh my God, this poor guy, right? I mean, it's got to be like this. And I think that totally affected him. All the hyper masculinity, the orange war paint, the lifts in the shoes, the girdle.
We get
all
lifts
this
in his
stuff.
shoes?
Yeah, he's had 2
Oh,
inch
it's
lifts in his shoes. I
unbelievable.
mean, come on.
But one thing
I know
right,
you Orthodox Jews love the guy because he moved the embassy and you guys chant for the guy and all this stuff. But he was a
Not all of us.
jackass. He was a jackass. And by the way, he caused a lot of harm to the Jewish people because of the way he handled himself. Okay, you don't dog whistle every racist and every anti-Semite in the country or the world. You don't do that. A good leader is an inclusive person that loves everybody and denounces nonsense like that. You don't say there's very fine people on both sides when they're marching and doing hate crimes in
Talking
Charlottesville,
about Charleston,
Virginia.
right?
Of course.
Yeah, that was I think that was up
Charlottesville.
there with the worst
It
things.
wasn't Charleston. It was Charlottesville.
Charlottesville, my bad.
Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, but
Up
I'm just
there
saying
with
you
the worst
don't do that. You don't blow
Yeah.
the dog whistle. You don't insinuate certain things about the Jewish people. You don't do that. But remember, he's not a racist or an anti-Semite because he's such a narcissist that he's objectifying everybody. Okay, so you're just you're a person to you, but in his field of vision, you're just an object. Like if he was a member of the KKK, or if there was a KKK member here on this podcast, and we were walking together, and we walked by a black car, does the KKK guy run over to the car and kick the car? No, because it's an inanimate object. That's Trump. Everybody is objectified. Everybody's an object in the guy's field of vision. So he was a jackass. He was very bad for the country. He incited people. He opened up the Pandora's box of anger in the country. He was a me sort of person. He lost. He got fucking annihilated in the election, but he's such an egomaniac, he couldn't admit it. He's got a good part of the country believing the election got stolen
If
from
you don't
him.
mind me, I do have
It's
a question.
fucking nonsense.
You definitely, I've seen tweets from you saying that you definitely, either aspects of Trump's agenda that you were championing. Can you speak to that? Like what parts of his agenda did you see as good for the country?
So
From a policy perspective.
So
specifically.
pro-business, for fair regulation, not for over-regulation or for under-regulation, creating a platform of entrepreneurial opportunity for people, Operation Warp Speed. He did fund the vaccine. I know you guys in the ortho community didn't take it probably, but he funded the vaccine. He took it. Okay.
He's taking shots at us.
Okay, but you didn't take it. It's fine.
What do you mean? I have the card. What are you talking about?
Yeah, well, you made it up. Okay, maybe you should have taken it. Maybe you shouldn't have taken it. I took the position that I was taking it.
Yeah.
Okay, because I got elderly parents that I want to protect, and my attitude is I don't know if it's good for me or bad for me, but if it prevents me from giving COVID to my 85 and 87-year-old mom and dad, my mishpocha, I'll take it. Okay, that was my attitude. Okay, but again, I'm not judging you for not taking it, but I am judging Trump positively for pumping Operation Warp Speed to get the thing in place. Because whether you took it or you didn't take it, it did reduce the fear related to the pandemic.
Okay.
That was positive.
That was,
but
yeah.
the negatives completely outweigh the positive. The guy was nuts. You can't lose an election like that, be the American president, where we've had 240 plus years of faithful transfer, peaceful transfer of power, and act like a classless jackass going out of the office. Come on, it's stupid. Don't act like that.
I totally hear what you're saying, obviously, and there's you can't
You
deny
love
a lot
Trump.
of things.
You almost got a little bit of orange. Let me
No.
give you a beer.
No.
You got a little bit of orange. You
I don't.
you got a little bit of Trump in you, right? A little
I
bit
have
of
one
the
question,
orange. and
though.
You
After
love
you were-
Trump. I could just tell by looking
After-
at Mr. Label. He loves Trump.
Here's my question, though.
You know what? Because you don't really know Trump. If you worked with Trump and you were in the inner sanctum and you saw how gugoots, how mashugana Trump actually was as a person, you'd be like, okay, there's no responsible person would put him in charge of the American
I
government.
totally get that, and I'm not denying. I'm just asking one question specifically.
You're good.
Even after you left the White House, were fired, whatever it was, you still supported him till at least
2 years.
Why did you support him after that? You knew who he was.
For several reasons, okay? Number one, okay, when you get fired like that, I made a mistake in the White House. I said something unceremonial about Steve Bannon and Reince Priebus. I got
What's
picked
your
up
name
by
for him again? Rance.
Rancid Penis.
I love
He
it.
was the
I
worst.
love
mean,
it.
At least with Bannon, it was like what you see is what you get, right? Rancid would come at you like he was like Richie Cunningham from like Happy Days, right? He was from Wisconsin. I call those guys like Kenosha Nostra, Kenosha, Wisconsin.
I live in
Kenosha
Wisconsin.
Nostra, right? Because they would try to come at you like they were Richie Cunningham or like Howdy Doody, and they'd go golly gee willikers, and then they would stab you,
Right. Two-faced.
Yeah, two-faced backstabber. That's what the guy was.
And you like being a
At
front
least
stabber.
I love being a front stabber.
Yeah.
I'd rather tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I'm a New Yorker.
Yeah.
Bannon, at least you could see him coming from a mile away. Priebus was trying to pretend he was my friend to my face while he was trying to kill me
That is
behind the back. the Washingtonians are totally different from the New Yorkers. Okay, even Trump said this. Trump had me laughing one day in the Oval Office. He was like, I thought I was a killer. I was here in New York and I was working with the real estate moguls. I thought they were all killers. Because then I got to Washington. I said, these secretaries could knife and slash the guy. Meaning like Washington is such a rougher place than New York is. In Washington, they would take an ice pick and take out your eyeball while you're at the dinner table, and they drop your eyeball in a dirty martini glass.
Yeah.
Now they're talking to you. You're bleeding. You're bleeding out, and they're talking to you like nothing happened.
It's ruthless, you're saying.
Yeah, that's why. Yeah, they're terrible people. I never seen anything like that in my whole life.
I would think.
And that's why the whole thing's screwed up, and that's why you have all this principle-less leadership. That's why the Republicans are allowing George Santos to stay in office. That's why nobody trusts the government. That's why I think the Congress has an approval rating close to the president of North Korea. I mean, it's like a terrible, it's a terrible, terrible thing that's going on in the country.
It's not a good time for like trust in.
Got to break that, man. We got to break the cycle of that. You got to get more straight talkers in there, man.
Do you think the anger when Trump took office existed from Obama already, and people latched onto Trump's anger, and he was kind of a voice, or did Trump create that anger?
It's a good question. So, let me just finish on the other thing. So, I stayed loyal to him, just so you know, because I made a mistake, and he deserved people like me that were working for him not to start bashing him. When he went after me, then it was time to start bashing.
Why did he go after you again?
I was on a Bill Maher show. I was talking. I was praising him on the judicial appointments, praising him on the economy, praising him on some of his policies. I think Bill or one of the women on the show turned to me and said, well, what about the squad, the women that he's saying to go back to the countries they originally came from? I said, well, 3 of them were born here. Okay, one of them was a naturalized citizen. I said, that's not really the right thing to say. That's American nativism. And nativism is a form of racism. They used to say that to my Italian grandmother. When she got here in 1923, there were signs in the storefronts in Brooklyn that said, no Italian need apply. Nina also stood for no Irish need apply, okay? I'm sure the Jews had the same problem. And so it's not the voice of an American president. And I really wish the president would not speak like that. But when the show was over, Stormy told me about the tininess, the poor guy, right? And then I was talking to Bill Maher. He said to me, the guy's going to light you up tomorrow on Twitter. I said, no, there's no way. I said, I gave the guy literally $1 million. I supported him. He fired me 2 years ago. I've been a supporter of his.
Yeah.
There's no way this guy's lighting me up. There's no way. No. You went 7 for 8 for Trump tonight. You got to go 13 for 10, which is mathematically impossible.
He's that type of person.
Yeah, and so
He'll focus on the one time.
He watches my show. He's going to light you up tomorrow. So I bet Bill dinner. And by 3 o'clock the next afternoon, Trump was lighting me up. Of course, I'm a New Yorker. What do you think I was going to fucking do? I was going to act like
sit
Ted
down,
Cruz?
take it. No,
you told him we're going to a diner outside your house. That's what you told him.
Yeah, but I told him. The first thing I said to him was, you're the fattest president since William Howard Taft. Because I know he hates being so fat. I know that.
No, I was saying what you told Bill Maher.
What did I tell Bill Maher?
Instead of taking him to reserve cut, you told him we're going to the diner next door.
No, I took him. I took him to Craig's. But anyway, in LA. But anyway, make a long story short, Trump came at me. I called him the fattest president since William Howard Taft. Then he came at me again. That I know he hates being so old. Right. So I said, "Wow, you're really getting old." I said, "These trolls are terrible. I mean, you gotta brighten up your trolling. I mean, it's just terrible. You're losing the grip.
You went personal.
You're losing the grip on your fastball." And then he went after my wife.
Well, he does that, right?
Okay, he does that. So who does that? Who does that? Okay,
it's like his signature
they don't
move.
Do that. They don't do that in the. You don't go after civilians. My wife never said. Now my wife probably hates him almost as much as Melania hates him. So it's like way up here, But you don't do that. Okay. So once he went after my wife, then we took the gloves off. Then I had to call him Tiny Trump after I got the information from Stormy. And then once I started calling him Tiny Trump, he got quiet on Twitter.
Really, he didn't have anything.
How's he going to respond to Tiny Trump?
It's hard to come back from Tiny Trump.
You're not going to respond to that because you're a poor guy, right?
One thing that first of all, I still want to go back to the other question.
Trump has heard 4 words that no guy can survive. You want to hear the words?
You have tiny dick.
No. Is it in yet? Is it in yet? Don't. No, there's no coming back from that.
There's no coming back from that.
That's why he's a jackass. That's why he acts like a jackass. He's wildly insecure.
Can we go back for 1 second to the Roy Cohn aspect of this, right? Clearly, I've done my research. Most people probably don't even know who Roy Cohn is. It was Trump's attorney when he was starting out in New York City. You're probably surprised I even know who the hell that is, but I've been studying this a little bit. He obviously was the guy that would do anything and everything, the highest level of ruthlessness, that no matter what it took, right, to win, he did. And I kind of feel like, right, Trump is playing that same game. Is there any way to have an execution-oriented mindset as a businessman and someone who wants to succeed in life, right, and just be execution tunnel vision, right, while still being in control?
Then you get an outcome like Trump's, though.
So I was asking if it's possible to have both. Not Trump, but...
No, but you get an outcome like Trump. So there's karma in life, okay? And there's moral and ethical justice in life.
Yeah.
You're a Jew. You read the Torah.
Sure
Okay,
did.
it goes right back to the foundation stone. And the whole principles of Western liberalism are tied to the foundation stone in Jerusalem. They connect out into the Greeks, over to the Romans, over to the French and the British, and then out to the United States. This Western canon of liberal democracy and individualism comes from the Torah. Go take a look at it. Okay, that's why the Jews are so important. And so Trump is a violator of all of that. Okay, so you could be Roy Cohn ruthless. You can act like a complete jackass. You can try to steamroll everybody. You can be a bully. You can be a thief. You can, they call it the Trump foot wedge, where he kicks the ball into the fairway when he's playing golf. You can be a cheater at golf.
Right.
But then you end up like Trump.
Right.
This is like bloated, train wreck, angry, lonely, miserable man.
Right.
You could have the achievements of the American presidency. You can have buildings named after yourself. But inside, you feel like a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Okay. And so you're a Jew. Okay. I'm a Catholic. To really understand how to live life, you got to take care of other people. To really understand how to live life, the secretary or the receptionist here at Skybridge is more important than the three of us, because they have no power. And so therefore, you got to be nice to them. If you're not nice to them, you're going to get smacked by me.
I love it.
Okay. My grandmother was a maid. So when I'm in the hotel rooms, I'm dropping money because it could be somebody's grandmother.
Yeah.
See, Trump doesn't understand that about life. So this Roy Cohn ruthlessness, sure, you can get an outcome. You can get an arc of ruthlessness. You can ascend to media status, television star, presidency, but now you're a lonely train wreck asshole.
Right.
I mean, is that what you want? I don't want that.
Right.
Okay, I want the people that I'm closest to, my mishpocha, okay, the kindred, the people that I'm closest to love me. Okay, and the only way they're going to really love me is if I show them unconditional love, and I include them, and I don't feel better than them. I went to Cardinal Hayes High School the first of the year to speak to the entrepreneur class. There were 40 kids in the class. What did I do? I stopped everything I was doing, and I shook every kid's hand in the class. I looked them straight in the eye, and I introduced myself to them. Why did I do that? Because I'm no better than them.
I love this.
And they're no worse than me. And by the way, that's exactly what I said. Hey, guys, you're no better than me, but you're no worse than me. We are the same. Okay, we're human beings on the earth. We're faced with the conditions that God has set us up for. What are those conditions? We're going to live, we're going to age, and we're going to die. Okay, some of us will die prematurely. Some of us will die of old age. But we're going to witness the human condition, which is fraught with comedy and fraught with tragedy. When you see someone that you love die, what could be more painful than that? Okay, so you have to experience that in this life. There's a trial in this life, rich or poor, ruthless or ruthful. It doesn't really matter. You're going to experience this stuff. How are the people around you going to feel about you? Are you a good guy?
Right.
Are you a good woman? Are you doing the right thing for your family? Are you doing the right thing for your country? Or are you a fucking asshole?
Right.
What are you? Okay, Trump's a fucking asshole. Okay, so your point about Roy Cohn and the ruthlessness, yeah, it works, but at what cost? Okay,
100%.
you want to sell your soul out for that kind of nonsense, that sort of Faustian pact with ambition? I don't want to do that.
Right.
You don't need to do that. You can have a great life without doing that. Why do you need to do that? Anyway, Roy Cohn was a ruthless fucking asshole. So was Trump. But let me tell you something about me. I know how to fight bullies. No problem. You want to fight with me?
Right.
We're going to fight to the fucking death.
Love it.
Okay? You're not going to fight with me without expecting me to fight back. But if you don't bother me and you leave me alone, I'm fine.
Right.
And I'll take care of my family, but leave me alone.
Yeah. No, what you just,
Okay?
I keep on going back to the same thought. You clearly have a very good handle on psychology, it seems like, and A lot of wisdom you just shared, a lot. But you understand how the human being works. And you went to school for economics and other things.
But it's not me. I read the Torah. Read the Old Testament. Read the New Testament.
I've read all of it, but there's a
what do you mean?
uniqueness to the way
but you're not listening.
Sure.
How old are you?
28.
Or maybe you're not old enough. Okay, when you get to be 58 or 59 like me, I wasn't prepared to make the statements that I'm making when I was 28. I was blinded by my ambition. I was blinded by my own avarice. I was blinded by, I need to have people around me think I'm going to be a success.
Right.
I just left Harvard Law School. I got to show the world who I am. But when you get humbled by life and you get humbled by markets and you get humbled by the indignities that a human being has to suffer, like seeing the death of your loved ones, you can put it way more into perspective. You see what I'm saying? So it's not me. That's a collective. I'm espousing something that's collective. I'm espousing something that's from your religion, that's from my religion, but it's also from how good people need to think about a society. Okay, ruthless, you divide the society. Ruthless, you walk out of there, you guys are Jews, though. You ever read the Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens?
Oh,
you know who Jacob Marley is?
No, I thought you were talking something. I didn't.
Yeah, Jews don't really know that story, but Jacob Marley was a horrific guy. He was a miser. He was partners with Ebenezer Scrooge. Marley died, and he was locked up in chains in the afterworld. And so Scrooge was still on Earth, and the Phantom came to him on Christmas Day. Say, wake up, man. You got to do the right thing by these people. Misering your money and trying to take care of only yourself is the wrong thing to do on the planet. Wake up. Okay? And you know, because you're biologically designed like this, when you're helping other people, you feel better about yourself. You know this.
100%.
You know this. You know when you're giving. Or what did Jackie Robinson, there's a picture of Jackie behind you, he's one of my heroes. What did Jackie Robinson say? He said, your life is worth living when you are living to help other people. And that's paraphrasing what he said, but it's more or less what he said. And by the way, there's no Muhammad Ali without Jackie. There's no ML King Jr. without Jackie. There's no Barack Obama without Jackie. Okay, because he crossed the color line in sports.
Yeah.
Okay, and he forced everybody to accept that we're equal despite our differences in skin tone.
And you're a very big New York baseball fan, right?
Big time, yeah.
Mets?
Mets.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you recently shoot a show and one of your co-contestants was Mike Piazza? Yeah, we shot a reality television show called Special Forces. Mike was my bunkmate. You got to bunk with Mike Piazza.
Yeah, Mike's been a dear friend of mine. I bought with a couple of friends of mine the 9/11 jersey. Remember we hit the home run on September 21st. We put the jersey at the museum.
I was too young to remember that. What was that moment like?
Well, unfortunately, I lost a lot of friends that night on September the 11th, and so on the 21st, I had my suite over at Shea Stadium. Mets were playing the Braves. It was a very sad, very somber night in New York. It was an unspeakable tragedy, to be totally reflective and honest. But what was interesting about that night, I think it was the 7th or 8th inning, the Mets were down. Mike hit that home run, and it electrified the stadium. And it presented itself as a metaphor for life. What are we going to do? Okay, we got to get back to the plate, and we got to swing for the fence. We have to enjoy the time that God has given us on the earth. Despite the tragedies, despite the murders that took place on September the 11th, what are we going to do? We get up, and we got to show our children that we can live and we have fortitude and resilience to go forward. And so that jersey was very important to me because it was a metaphor for New York. And Michael's an unbelievable guy if you really get to know him. He's the salt of the earth, down-to-earth, wholesome, great guy. And so that jersey represented something for New York. And so when it went up for sale, I was like, oh, my God, I don't want this thing ending up outside of New York or in somebody's private collection. So we bought it, and we've got it on display at the 9/11 Museum.
It's unbelievable.
It's so dope, yeah.
It's so dope.
Yeah. So I was close to Mike before I did the show with him.
So I didn't realize.
Amendola was a guy I didn't know until I got on the show.
Oh, really?
Really?
We had like a little Italian mafia going on the show.
This show, for people who don't know, can you say what's the?
Yeah, no.
It looks like the most insane concept I have ever seen.
I was in Special Forces. It was a 10-day survival training with Navy SEALs and the British SAS, but they're also smashing you. They're smashing you verbally.
Yeah, I saw this.
They're calling me a loser. They're saying I can't. They would never follow me to the bathroom. I have no leadership skills. I've got a big Wall Street ego. I'm basically a douchebag. I mean, they're like really trying to destroy you.
Wow.
Okay?
Yeah, they're taking the piss out of
And
you.
then you're taking a piss on you. Then they're dropping you backwards out of a helicopter. They did set my ass on fire, and then they made me run out of a house. Of course, when I was burning, I looked at the camera and said, I've been fired before, but never like this. It's a different type of firing, all right? They put me in a car, and they sunk me to the bottom of the harbor, and I hold my breath in the car with the seatbelt on, and I had to train my brain to not be fearful to get out of the car.
Right.
They
In the
made me-
Do you
water.
feel a certain
In the
sense of
water.
pride in doing this? You feel like you came out of it like better, like
No, I
confidence
was
in yourself?
absolutely, totally, and completely scared shit the entire time. And when I came out of it, I didn't feel any pain because I had all this adrenaline. By the fourth day of coming out of it, I felt like I had gone through a car crash. I mean, they had me jumping out of the Tower of Aqaba. Go Google the Tower of Aqaba.
Sounds like Hell Week.
Yeah, it was terrible. It's like a Hell Week.
No,
But-
I'm saying the Navy SEAL concept.
Yeah,
You know, where they put you through,
They're
like, what is it?
rolling you in the sand.
Yeah,
they're
yeah.
they're waking you up. They call it a bee sting. They're waking up at 3:00 in the morning. You're running around. They throw you in a 45-degree water tank.
The
I mean-
absurdism also is that like the people they have on the show, they've got like like Mike Piazza, but then they've got like Anthony Scaramucci, from him from the White House, Jamie Lynn Spears, Britney Spears' younger sister.
you know,
It's the
look, I'm
craziest group of people doing this.
I'm not a D-level celebrity. I'm sort of a double D-level celebrity. I say when I go in for my male breast reduction, I'll probably get myself to like a C or D. I didn't care. When my agent called me, said that we're going to do the show,
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm down. I'm going to see if I can do it. I'm 59 now. I was 58 then. I was Dr. Drew was the oldest contestant. He faded after the first day.
Yeah.
So I can't tell you how many days I did because the show's still running.
Did you do better than
But I
Dr.
did.
Drew?
I did better than Dr. Drew. And
yeah.
by the way, we've had 4 episodes. I'm still in the show. So I'm just letting you know, I was the oldest guy out there.
Right.
But I was having problems. My knees were hurting. My back was
Understandable.
hurting. And some of the younger people were mad at me. They didn't feel I was moving fast enough for them. But I was like, okay, guys, I'm doing the best I can at 58. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, give some respect.
Unbelievable.
Jesus.
But here's the thing. You asked me a good question. Am I a different person? Did it change me? No. But here's what I would say to you. You can do more than you think. So your podcast listeners or your podcast viewers, you can control your fear. You can do more than you think. You can believe more about yourself than you currently do. So if there's something you're thinking about doing or something you want to do, and once in a while you look in the mirror and say, okay, I can't do that. That's not for me. It is for you. Push yourself. Okay, you can do way more than you think. And I think that's the lesson of that show.
I love that.
I was proud to be on
That's a
that
great
show.
message.
Love that message.
They did kick my ass, though. I was fucking pissed at some of those assholes, but that's fine.
I can imagine. Sounds like a hell of a week. I want to go back to one thing. It sounds like you clearly have had, right? You learned how to deal with failure. Could you just give any tips on? I read that you were obviously fired from Goldman Sachs. Then you had the public outing from the White House. Again, you're dealing with extremely as high level as possible.
The Sam Bankman-Fried disaster.
Yeah, I'm saying these are
Yeah.
huge.
What are some
huge-
tips for failure?
So here's what I would tell you. Again, think about the present. Those things are already in the past. I'm not worried about them. I'm not thinking about them. Number 2, you try to do best you can. You learn from these things, but you don't dwell on these things. They'll make your life miserable. Every person listening to this podcast, whether they're 10 years old or 100, they did something they regret.
Right.
I don't know what it is. Could be large or small. Let it go. Let it go. It's impossible to make every decision correctly.
Yeah.
It's impossible to do every single thing in your life correctly. Let it go. If you're a high-profile person, I fail in public. I can't fail in private. So if I have something bad happen to me, it gets magnified 5x. If I have something good happen to me, I sold a company last year. I think we were 10-30-1 on it. No one wrote about that.
Right.
Okay, that's fine.
It's not
Because
interesting to
it's
people.
not interesting. The car
Yeah.
crash is interesting. The guy stumbled. He's a
Yeah.
smart guy. Could you believe he was tied up with Sam Bankman-Fried? Those things are interesting to people. So to me, it's part of your life. You don't go from a blue-collar neighborhood like the one I grew up in to where I am today without throwing the ball. And when you throw the ball, you get intercepted, you get sacked, you fumble the ball. But what do? You get back in the huddle, you go, man.
Right.
You go. I'm more excited about the next decade than I am about thinking about the last decade.
What's next for the Mooch?
So I started a podcast, if you don't mind me
Today.
just promoting it. Yeah, it's
Please
called,
promote it. I was going to tell you. I was
it's
going
called,
to
O-
ask
it's
you
called,
about
it's called Open Book. The Open Book. It's a good spin on words because I am an open book.
Yeah.
But it's about books. You see behind me, I got a ton of books. I'm a big reader. I think authors are some of the most fascinating people in the world because they're spending time and energy and thought on a subject, whether it's fiction or nonfiction. And when I was a kid, if you asked me why I like books so much, I would have said $10, and in 10 hours, that's the average time it takes to read a book, for $10, and in 10 hours, you get 10 years worth of knowledge. Now, because of inflation, it's $20. But
Sure.
for $20, you're going to get 10 hours of great entertainment, and you're going to get 10 years of life experience. But now with open book, you got me reading the book for you, inviting the author on my show, and in 45 minutes, you can get that down. So we've got short attention spans now.
Yep.
But I'm interviewing best-selling authors, friends of mine, people I find interesting, and we're talking about real-life things, whether it's sports, business, politics, medicine, longevity. It could be a whole host of different eclectic things that are going on in life. And, we started today, and we get a tremendous amount of
Yeah, drop today.
we got a lot
That's
of
great
we
timing.
got a lot of downloads. It's on everything: Spotify, Apple.
What's it called
You
again?
should
Open
have a-
book?
Open book.
You
Open
should
book
have a
with
lot of
Anthony
Hatzlacha.
Scaramucci.
Do you know that one?
Say it again. Is
Hatzlacha.
that luck?
Success.
Yeah, no,
Success.
yeah.
Okay. Didn't
You
know
know the
that.
word for that.
I
feel
knew.
like-
I thought it was like.
Oh, yeah, luck is mazel.
Mazel. That's what I
Yeah.
thought it was.
You
Yeah,
should
I was
have
gonna say
mazel, too.
Mazel.
Yeah.
But what is yichus? It's like status, right? Yichus.
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 He has some of that.
Yeah. Status.
Yichus is status
Yeah.
from your grandparent. It's from
Status
where you
from
come
Previous
from.
relationships,
Yeah.
yeah.
What about
Um,
COVID?
That's just respect.
Respect. COVID.
Not COVID.
Not COVID.
COVID.
Yeah. It's like
You know,
honor.
yeah, you know a lot.
Like honor or respect,
Yes,
right?
that's honor. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Can we talk FTX for 1 second?
Shlemiel.
We don't use it as much as
Ganef.
people think.
Ganef.
Yeah.
Okay, Schlemiel's not such a common word.
All right, go ahead.
Sam Bankman-Fried, you obviously thought you knew the guy. Turns out you didn't know him that well, or well enough, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't that like a mind fuck in a certain sense that like
Terrible.
it is, right? Like
Yeah.
how do you did you have to
Well, I mean-
reevaluate your relationships? Like
Yeah, no, it's a terrible thing when you have a betrayal like that because I considered Sam a friend. I like Sam. I'm not going to tell you that I didn't like him. I liked his dad. I respected his mom. I didn't know his mom as well as I knew his dad. I thought they were good people. I didn't think Sam was this nefarious, fraudulent character. So it was a big betrayal because, I'm taking him to the Middle East. We're introducing political leaders, capital allocators. If you're a scoundrel, if you're a thief, you're going to destroy my life. I mean, I built this business.
crazy.
It's a 18-year-old business, but I have a 35-year career on Wall Street. You're destroying me. Why are we doing that? Why are you wrecking everybody in your path? So, I said in Davos, Switzerland last week, if you read Dante's Inferno, right? Dante Alighieri, who wrote 3 books, but the Inferno, I think, is the most important. I mean, he wrote more than 3, but the 3 books, the Paradiso, the Purgatorio, and the Inferno, he talks about human beings. If you want to know human beings, you read the Torah, you read Dante, and you read Shakespeare. And if you read those 3 things, you're going to learn more about human beings than any psychiatry class, psychology class, or any human being. Because they really had a gift for explaining the nature of the human being. All of the purity and the love in the human being, but also the malevolence and the mendacity of the human being. And what did Dante say? There were 9 circles of hell, and so as you were descending hell, it got very hot in the middle. But when you got to the 9th circle, which was the last circle, it was very cold. That's why you hear people say, oh, it's hot as hell in here, or it's cold as hell in here, because the expressions come from Dante. And so who lives in the 9th circle of hell? Well, the devil lives down there, Lucifer, the fallen angel. And who's living with him? Well, to Dante, the greatest sin that you could perpetrate on earth is to betray a friend or a loved one. So the metaphors who are living down there are Brutus, the betrayer of the state. You're a traitor to your nation, okay? You've betrayed Israel. You sold Israel's secrets to Iran, okay? Or you betrayed the United States. Brutus, the killer of Caesar, the state. Judas, okay, in our religion, Jesus was God, and so you killed God. You've betrayed your religion. You've denounced your religion. You're a heretic. And so there you are in the 9th circle, frozen lake. The devil's living down there with Judas and Brutus. And the coldest place in hell is reserved for people that betray their friends. Now there's always a time for atonement, and there's always a time to offer forgiveness to people. So Sam has got to do that. Sam has got to say, okay, the 4 people around me already pleaded out guilty.
Right.
Here's the fraud. Here's what we did. Let me work to try to recover as much money as possible and accept my jail sentence. Can't do that to people. You're not allowed to do that to people.
Wow.
And I told you're 28. How old are you?
29.
So I have a 30-year-old son. Okay, he was 6 months. He's 6 months younger than Sam. He went to Stanford Business School. So a lot of knockus in that, right? And I said to the kid, I took him with me to the Middle East with Sam. And so he witnessed the whole thing. And I said to my son, AJ, I said, AJ, your no-no was in a crane, okay? Paid his taxes. He paid his parking tickets. He met his bills and expenses. He always tell me, if you can't afford the price of the ticket, don't go to the movies. We are never dishonoring your no-no. He gave us our last name in a good way. You want to call me stupid for buying Bitcoin or being partisan with Sam Bankman-Fried, you call me stupid. You can't call me unethical. Okay? You can never do that, because I would never live like that, because I'm never going to dishonor my dad by doing something like that. And that's a lesson that you got to pass on to your kids. There's no need. You see, he mentioned Trump, and he was trying to go in a direction that, ruthlessness and Machiavellianism, all stuff is a good thing. You get to a good outcome. You don't. You get to a miserable outcome. You end up like a fucking miscreant, and you end up like a lonely person that is shunned by normal people. Who the hell wants that? Your relationships are way more better than the money or the status. Trust me. Your relationships are what's going to
Can I
drive
bring
and
something
sustain
up about
you.
relationships?
Yeah.
I hope you don't mind me asking,
Yeah,
but I
please.
think there's a rich vein of conversation here, because you took, as the Gen Z kids say, you took a bunch of L's in a row. You took some losses. You had when you exited the White House, you also sort of publicly had issues with your relationship with your wife.
What do you mean publicly? She filed for divorce on me. We were about to get divorced.
Yeah.
We were fighting.
And you
like cats
sailed
and
through
dogs.
it.
Well,
And
we
you guys-
reconnected. I went
Can you
back
please
to
talk
her.
about that and talk about what that?
Okay, but
some
here's
tips
another
on
thing.
that.
So here's another thing. Okay, you cannot. You're living in a disposable, quick society. Something's not working, cut and run. The thing's not. Boom, blow it up.
Right.
Throw the razor
the
out.
next.
Onto the next. Throw the plastic bag in the garbage. But Deirdre's somebody that I deeply love. Okay, truly believe that she's my soulmate. We were fighting. Some of it was political. Some of it was personal. Some of it was due to my behavior. She filed for divorce on me. Okay, and so you can be right or you can be married. Okay, that's your choices. Okay, so I went to her cap in hand, and I said, I've done some things that I regret. I've made some mistakes, both politically and personally. I want to reconnect with you. We have 2 beautiful young kids. I don't want to get divorced. If you want to get divorced, I completely understand that. And I will make it as easy for you as possible to get divorced, because we have to raise these kids together. But I'm in love with you. And I do believe you're in love with me. Let's try to figure it out. And so we went to marriage counseling and life coaching. And over the course of a couple of years, our relationship mended and we became stronger. And I think it was the best thing for my family and the best thing for my kids. And so here's the message for people. Don't throw shit out so quickly. And let me tell you this, okay, because we're talking about Trump. I let my pride and my ego get the best of me, okay? I went to Tufts, Harvard Law School, built a couple of businesses. I'm going to go work for the American president.
Right.
Well, the American president is a malevolent jackass who's probably unstable. Well, that doesn't matter, because it doesn't fit my narrative. What fits my narrative is I'm a Wall Street guy, an entrepreneur, blue-collar kid. And look at me now. I can go fly around in Air Force One. I'm doing that.
Right.
But it wasn't the right thing. It was bad decision-making because it was based on my pride and based on my ego. So my message to your podcast listeners is swallow your pride and swallow your ego and do the right thing, not the thing you think is going to feed your ego. And so for me, she publicly divorced me. It was like they're going to cover it in New York Post. I could have said, okay, been angry about all that and, walked away from the relationship, but she was right about a lot of things. So I went to her, swallowed my pride and my ego, and I said, let's see if we can forgive each other. Let's see if we can reconcile our marriage. And by the way, thank God that we did, because I feel that we're stronger than ever. I think it's better for our kids that we're together.
That's incredibly inspiring, I think.
Okay, but that's the truth.
Yeah, that's a good message.
And let me tell you something. I'm talking to you as a straight guy, telling you
Yeah.
I did a lot of things that were fucked up that I regret.
I love the accountability aspect. You're owning it. You're not even trying to deflect in any way. It sounds like that's probably a crucial piece to all this that you probably find is like super important for people in general.
What are you
Talk
gonna
about
do?
the president. He's not an accountability type
Like
of person.
this. It's never my fault. It's like the Scarecrow and a Wizard of Oz, the poor guy.
So that's what I'm saying.
Because the schmeckle. I mean, he's so insecure.
Comes
guy.
down to the schmeckle guy.
It does. It does.
It really does. It comes
You
down
can
to
reverse engineer the whole thing. He's so insecure, the guy. I mean, so how are you going to take blame if you're that insecure? You're going to blame yourself. Got to point the finger.
It's
the election got
inability
stolen
to
from
be
me.
wrong because deep down he was probably maybe as a kid or maybe because of the schmeckle at some point he was made to feel that if I'm wrong, if I made a mistake, then
double
I'm
down,
bad.
triple down, never apologize, show strength. You show strength and leadership by being accountable. Okay, when a U-2 spy plane, when it got shot down, the CIA went to Eisenhower and he was supposed to have a summit with Khrushchev. When it got shot down, he said, "What are we going to do?" They said, "Well, the pilot's dead, so we're going to say it's a weather balloon. Okay, this way we can have the summit." And so Eisenhower said, "Okay." He went out to the press. He said it was a weather balloon. The pilot parachuted out of there safely, and Francis Gary Powers was alive. And then they shamed and embarrassed the president by showing him. So what did Eisenhower do? "I apologize for the lie. I'm accountable for that mistake." And his approval rating went up. When the Bay of Pigs happened in April of 1961, Jack Kennedy went to the press room. He said, "I am the accountable officer of this government, and that failure is mine to bear alone." What did he say? He said, "Victory has 1,000 fathers, but defeat is an orphan. But not this defeat. I own this defeat."
Love it.
His approval rating went up.
It's a great quote.
What do you think about
You got to be accountable in life. What are you going to do? You're going to pretend that it didn't happen? The people are on to you. The people, the smart people know that Trump lost the election. You do know that, right?
I believe it. Yeah.
Come on.
One thing though,
trust me, he believes it. Forget about you believing it. Trump believes it.
What's your take though, especially in today's world where it's a lot of people are asking for apologies about a lot of things, I feel like. And I felt like Trump, in one regard, maybe he got right, was that he wasn't willing to apologize. He was never willing to apologize, which was the problem. Okay, I could agree. But he also, maybe it worked in a benefit because he wasn't willing to apologize to people who they felt he did something wrong, but arbitrarily, that could be their opinion.
Well, now you're talking about wokeness. Okay?
Yeah,
there's a different
That was very, yes. That was exactly
That's what I'm getting.
You're
That's
going
exactly
to wokeness. That's a totally different thing.
But
The wokeness thing is absolutely berserk and ridiculous at this point, and they are scolds, and they want to impose something in the vernacular. Men and women have talked to each other a certain way for 5,000 years, and now the woke culture is all going to pretend that we're not like that. We're not like that. I mean, what the hell's wrong? It's not sustainable. It's not possible. It will swing back. If you check the streaming services and the streaming agencies, a lot of downloads are happening from the 80s and 90s comedies and from the stand-up comedy.
Family Guy.
People are tired. People are tired of the wokeness. People are tired of the nonsense that comes with it, okay? And also, these people have decided that they're the judge and the jury and the sentencer, the executioner. If you say something wrong, we got to cancel you from your career. We got to. So, okay, we're in a Judeo-Christian society still. I don't know. Maybe we're just I don't know. What are we? But to me, I think we all believe in redemption and forgiveness. At least I know I do. So if somebody makes a mistake,
forgive.
Unless it's a murder or they do something, look, Sam deserves to be forgiven. He perpetrated a fraud and a heinous crime, but he also has to pay his time to the society for doing that. There has to be a retribution to it. So I forgive you, Sam, but you're going to go away for 30 years.
Right.
You can't do that to people, okay? But the flip side is if someone says something that somebody doesn't like, we're going to end their career. I mean, it's ridiculous. So Trump represented a finger in the eye, a thumb in the eye of that. His Twitter feed, his personality. There's a very large group of people like, okay, I can't say what Trump's saying at work. I can't do what Trump's doing, but I like what Trump's doing. Let him do it. He's representing me by doing it. Okay, so we have to stop that too, though.
So that's
I would much rather have a leader say, okay, hey, guys, this is nonsense, okay? I believe that everybody should be treated equally. I'm all about, if your sexual orientation is not similar to mine, you should still be treated equally. Okay, I'm sorry. That's what I believe. Maybe that's not an
I think
Orthodox
you've
view.
No,
done
it
more than
is.
believe that. You
is an
put your money
Orthodox
where
thing.
your
I
mouth
have,
is.
of course. I've
Your
donated.
company's donated.
It is an
I've
Orthodox thing. It's not
No, I don't know
Orthodox.
what it is. I'm just
Yeah.
saying, even the Pope, thank God, finally said, it's not a crime to be gay, okay? Because he knows he's got a ton of gay priests. Okay, so what are we doing?
Got worse than
What?
gay priests.
Well, we do know that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's been a
The
tragedy.
gay priests are not the problem.
That's been a tragedy in my
That has been-
religion,
I'm
Yeah.
sorry,
So,
yeah.
so,
That
so,
was
so
not-
I'm
not trying to
a
make light of it.
big time Catholic, but I'm not sitting here not saying the Catholic Church doesn't have its flaws or its
Right. Well, you are-
setbacks. A 2,000-year-old institution.
You're religious, like you go to
I do.
church and
I
you're,
do. Am I going every single week? No. Do I have children that I need to get confirmation? My son just went through his Holy Communion last year. Do I need him to get confirmed when he's in the 8th grade? And would I like him to get married, the sacrament of marriage in the Catholic Church? I do, yes. But
Okay.
am I going to church every single week like my mother does? No.
But your mom's like hardcore.
My mom's hardcore. Forget about it.
Hardcore Italian woman, just like
Is it like a
hardcore
thing
time
by
when
you
I'm
that if
going
you're
to church.
is it a thing by you guys that if you're not as religious as your parents, let's say, that's like a problem? Is that the same existence as by us?
No,
not
because
me.
you got to remember something. Your religion is tied to your survival.
Mhm.
Okay, so when you're looking at the diaspora and you're looking at the genocides and you're looking at the Holocaust, your parents want you to be Jewish, and they want you to marry a Jew so that your progeny are Jewish, so that the religion and the faith survives.
Right.
Because if you're God's chosen people, and you made it from the foundation stone, you made it 5,000 plus years after you left Egypt with Moses, your parents want their grandchildren to be Jewish. They
Right.
don't want to be the generation that snuffs it out.
Love that.
Okay, and that's a big issue, right? And that's why all the Reform Jews and the Orthodox Jews are, there's a strain there
Mhm.
because they don't want the purity of the religion to be liquidated by the secularism of the culture.
Right.
Okay, and let me tell you something. In a lot of ways, your parents are right. They let me speak after I got my ass fired from the White House. They let me speak at the Republican Jewish Committee, whatever it is, the RJC. Sheldon Adelson invited me. I made his soul rest in peace. I love Sheldon,
Yeah.
and I went out there to speak. And I said, I'm going to talk to you guys about the way you should think about yourselves, okay? Because I'm not a Jew, okay? You got to think about your religion. You got to think about the culture and the togetherness and the closeness of your families and the perpetuation of academics and the enrichment of the intellectual capital that's infused in the culture. You got to think about the contribution to science and art and music and biotechnology, nuclear
Bagels.
physics, bagels, lox, God forbid. I was dying last week in Davos. Okay, they had beautiful smoked salmon, no New York bagel, and
Oh,
no
God.
proper cream cheese.
Yeah, no.
It's
It's ridiculous.
yeah. I mean, how could you have one without the other? It's
Can't.
very it's almost like a death sentence. But all of that stuff, that's all part of your culture. Okay, and so to me, what I was saying at that event, I truly believe the Jews are the canary in the coal mine. Because definitionally, you can't define a minority more clearly than the Jews. What are the number of Jews that are alive on the earth right now? 14 million? 15
We're
million?
less
I don't know.
than
Jewish
we're
total,
less
but
than
that's
1%.
Orthodox. It's like 1.5 mil.
All right, but
We're
what
talking
is
about all
the, what,
Jews.
Yeah, all Jews,
14
14 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you get 7-8 billion people on the planet, 14 million Jews. Think of the contribution. The Jews are punching over their weight, no? I mean, think of the contribution of
We're
the
punching
Jews.
so hard that people get upset at us for punching so hard.
Okay. Well, there's some of that. We should talk
Yeah.
a little bit about that too. But my point is, think about what I'm saying. This is a very important contribution to Western liberalism. And so if you're talking about minorities, in the United States, we define minorities by money. Okay, so if there's 10 million Jews and they're perceived to be rich, they can't check a box at Harvard.
Mm.
Okay, but African Americans can, and other types of people can, Hispanic Americans can, because the minority is defined by money.
Right.
But if you really think about what a minority is, 14 million Jews, that's pretty much a minority of the overall population.
Right.
So you better protect the Jews because they're the canary in the coal mine, because after they hit the Jews, they're coming for you. 100% they're coming for you, okay, because that's how it works. Unfortunately, the malevolence of the human mind, they pick a scapegoat and they start rolling other people. Okay,
Right.
so if you are a believer in the Western canon of individual liberty, and our democracies, but you better stand with the Jews. And this is something that, like, I've talked to Jonathan Greenblatt about
Jason.
Jason. I'm sorry, I meant to say Jason. There is a Jonathan. I saw Jason in Davos. Jason Greenblatt from the ADL about this is something that we have to do.
Yeah,
it's a necessary thing to do if you want to foment and protect your democracy. It's another reason why I absolutely cannot stand Trump, because Trump has decided, hey, the white people are going to be in the minority, and so since the white people will probably not be running things, let's change the rules. No more democracy. Hey, jackass, that's not how it works. Okay, democracies protect. Democracies are a diffusion and a decentralization of power, and they allow for the American dream. They allow for the Jewish people to prosper, or they allow for me to prosper coming from a crane operator's family.
Mm-hmm.
In these autocracies is very, very hard. Okay, so you have to understand it the way it really is.
Right.
Okay, and all this short-termism and scapegoating and it should be this way or autocracies are better. No, autocracies suck. They always end in a nightmare, and they always wobble and become unstable.
2 questions.
Yeah.
You speak so beautifully, honestly, and so eloquently. Would you ever consider running?
Dude, I'm running for re-election in my marriage. We just got talking about the fiasco. You want to talk about Suris?
You have a way.
The way I feel like you don't want to get into politics anymore.
No, why would you get into politics? I can't get into politics. Why am I going to get into politics? They're going to light up my family members. They're going to torch me. They're going to torch my wife. They're going to light up my 5 children. My family's more important to me than doing that.
So it's not because you think
but
you
I want
can't
to talk
do it.
about it.
Yeah, please.
I want to talk. I mean, I want to be a part of it. I want to contribute to it.
Sure.
Right.
But I'm not going to run for office. I mean, I can't do that.
Yeah.
It's just a nightmare.
It's just not worth it.
I feel like you've had enough of Washington.
It's a nightmare, man. And I'm not well suited for these people, because you walk into Washington.
You're very level-headed, though.
But you walk into Washington, they're like, okay, can this guy get bought? If he can get bought, here are 2 bottles of Cristal. Here's the cigar. Jump in a hot tub with us. Oh, wait a minute. This guy can't be bought? Let's hit this guy with a ray gun. It's bought, can't be bought. I'm not going to be bought.
Do you think there was a positive aspect to Trump that he wasn't able to be bought, or at least perceived? That was like his big claim.
No,
right?
no. Trump was totally bought.
Oh, he was.
Oh, come on. Look the way he was kissing Putin's ass. What was up with that? Let me tell you something. When the window's open and you hear clippity clop, it's a horse. It's not a zebra. You don't kiss a guy's ass like that unless you're on a take somewhere in a system. Come on. You're not stupid for 28 years old, right? You don't think the guy was bought? He was totally bought.
He was also he did whatever he felt like he just wanted votes. Like he made sure not to upset too much of the far right 'cause they were voting for him. Like
but a guy like Reagan had more principles, so people didn't like him, but at least they respected him.
Right.
A guy like George Bush's dad's like, okay, this is what we're doing. You may
That's
not like it, but we're going in this direction and go fuck off. Roosevelt, he should have bombed those tracks heading into Auschwitz. That was a big mistake of his.
Yep.
But he was at least principled, and he built the post-World War II architecture. The leaders now, they're like weather vanes. They're like equivocating weather vanes, Trump included.
Here's the thing, though.
I mean,
do you feel like Obama was bought? Sorry.
No,
I feel like Obama, to Mr. Label's point, Obama helped to create that white lash.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? What was the guy's name? Jones. He was the
basketball player?
Jones?
No, Vern Jones. He was the
CNN.
CNN.
Van Jones.
Van Jones. He said at election night.
What
when Trump won.
2016,
They were
he said
crying.
He said it was a white lash.
Yeah.
White
lash? It was a white lash. Yeah, he said, like a backlash or a black lash. It was a white lash. He said, so Obama, who was, his mom was white, his dad was black. He was sitting too hard on the side of the blacks.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not blaming him. I'm just saying what he did. He probably figured he was trying to even out the scales. But it created a reversionary effect on him. And Van Jones said it better than me. He said it was a white lash. He created by accident. Obama knows in his heart that he created Donald Trump.
So that's right.
He'd be mad at me for saying that because who wants to fucking have to admit that? But he created Donald Trump. And Van Jones said it on CNN that night.
Yeah, I'm not that old, but I just remember, I don't remember the tensions being that high before 2008, period. Like when Bush was president, as a kid, don't remember.
Well, it really
that.
started in 2000, when you had the Bush versus Gore and they were fighting it out in the Supreme Court.
Oh, it already happened there?
That's really when the match got struck. And then if you really want to go back, Newt Gingrich was throwing dynamite sticks around. You know, he was trying to close the government in 94, 95
got
after
it.
that election. You know,
I wasn't born then, so I can't have
you got 25,
Listen, if my name was Newt
25,
Gingrich,
30
I would throw
years.
dynamite around.
Yeah, 25, 30 years of angry hostility. We got to tone down.
Wow. Well, how did he?
Not for the left and right. Let's focus on what's right or wrong.
Yeah.
Come on, guys.
100%.
We're smart. It's a great country.
So this is my question: how did he win then? According to you're of the belief that at least 50% of America is smart.
Well, remember, he didn't get 50% of the vote.
Close.
So it was the tyranny of the minority. He won through the Electoral College, and he won because Hillary Clinton was a very poor presidential candidate.
Okay, so maybe that's the answer.
Yeah,
but
if
he
he-
still
if he
had.
was-
There were still 70 million
running
people. There were
against
66 million.
Yeah, no, and it was 80 plus in the second time. Look,
I mean, it's a character
Trump-
issue from the American people. I feel like, according to what you're saying.
Not exactly. The American people are dissatisfied with their government. They're looking for a change. Trump was providing them an agency for change. So not exactly, okay. But here's the thing: I would tell you, there's a good part of the American people are not satisfied. You know, I grew up in an economically aspirational family.
Mm-hmm.
We've converted those families into economically desperational ones. So there's a very large group of people that are not satisfied.
And therefore, they're just like, the hell with this. You're saying.
Yeah, so they're like, okay, I'm done with the social contract. I'm going to put my finger in the eye of the medical establishment, not take the vaccine.
Right.
I'm going to put my finger in the eye of the political establishment, the business establishment, the media. Okay. And, Trump is the avatar of my anger. I'm going to vote for him. And you got to understand that if you are not doing well and you have with great certainty in your mind that your children are going to do worse than you, that is a bad feeling. America for 80, 100 years was, I'm doing okay, but my kids are going to do better. And my grandkids are going to do better than them. And it's going this way now. Bad. That's bad. And we can fix that. But we got jackass politicians that really don't want to fix it. So
yeah.
What do you think would fix
it's going
that?
to be your generation's going to fix it. You're going to have to shatter the totems and the current habits of the American government, and you're going to have to come up with a 10-year plan to fix the infrastructure, a 10-year plan to fix the entitlement programs, balancing the budget, and you're going to have to come up with a 10-year plan for how to operate the American military now in a post-World War II footprint. And I'll just submit to see we have no politicians in America that have 10-year plans. Chinese have 10-year plans. They have 20-year plans, 100-year plans. Not America. We don't have any 10-year plans anymore. And it's frustrating because all of these problems are solvable, but they require planning and they require commitment from a very large group of people.
Working in unity, I would assume.
Working in unity.
But that's so difficult because everyone is just fighting nowadays. I mean, it
Not
sounds
that
pretty
difficult.
elementary.
A good leader can knit people together.
Right.
And we've had good leaders before.
I hear that. I wanted to ask you, what's your relationship like with your dad, right? You've reached the epitome of the American dream, I feel like, based on everything I've read and seen. Your dad is...
Well, my dad's 87, God bless him. Unfortunately, he's not in great health. I have a lot of respect for my dad. He was a tough dad. I'm not going to BS you guys. Yeah, he was hard on us physically when we were kids.
Oh, really?
But I respect him. He's a very hard worker. I guess what I would say about my dad is I took a lot of the examples of his ethics and his hard work, and I took those with me. But I couldn't go to my father for mentorship in a corporate setting, right? Like I couldn't say, hey, Dad, I'm having a problem at Skybridge. What do you think? Because he operated a crane and he wasn't in that world. You know what I mean? Could he give me some common sense advice? Sure. But ultimately, he's like, hey, do what you think is best because he didn't really know. It'd be like me telling you, wanted me to operate on your brain. I'd be like, geez, I don't know. But,
Right.
try to find the right guy that knows. You follow what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But listen, I love my parents and I'm very grateful to God for putting me in that family.
Yeah, no, I just feel like a lot of times when kids start like eclipsing a parent's what they've done, a lot of times it kind of goes one way or the other. The parents either like super happy and ecstatic for the kid, or the other way around.
My kids are very happy, and I hope I hope my sons do that. I hope they make way more money than me, and they have a bigger, more enriched life than me. I hope that for sure.
Yeah, I mean these things all make sense. They're all like, this is. How do I say it?
I'll leave you with two things.
Yeah.
Okay? And just think about this, okay?
Please.
Because you can't really give your kids money because it fucks them up, okay? So, but what you can give your kids is obviously unconditional love, but infused in that are two things. Number one, celebrate the successes of your friends, meaning deny the primordial instincts of envy and jealousy. If your friends are doing well, celebrate with them, number one. Number two, pick something you really like, because we're going to go out of here very quickly. Mel Brooks, the American comedian, grew up in Brooklyn. What do you say? Relax. None of us are getting out of here alive. Relax. Okay?
That's great.
And so you're going to die quickly. When you're young, you don't think so. But when you get older, you're like, oh, okay, that's coming very fast.
Right.
Do the things you love. If you do things you love, you'll never work a day in your life.
Love that.
Those are gifts that you can give yourself and your kids.
I love that.
Love that. One last thing. What's your take on the education system currently?
It's very uneven. It's very unfair. And that's a big thing.
About the curriculum specifically. Like, are we teaching the kids?
Well, listen, the curriculum goes up and down with the politics, okay? So in the 70s, there was an anti-war motif going on. We were getting infused a lot of anti-war sentiment from our teachers. Now we got the woke thing going on, okay? Prior to that, it was a different type. It was corporal punishment, you know? One thing that's really changed, though, is that there's some very, very smart women in the country, and they're now leading companies. You know, they're running GM or they were running eBay. All those people were teaching 30, 40 years ago, because they couldn't get those opportunities because of the sexism, okay? So, you know, we got to increase the quality of the educators, and we have to even out the system. That's a 10, 20-year plan. You tell me the zip code of the kid, I can tell you whether or not they're getting a good education. That's not fair.
When you say uneven, you mean that college is too expensive and
No,
therefore
public high school sucks in the Bronx. It's great in Syosset on Long Island.
That's what. Okay.
It's probably great in Brooklyn or somewhere that, you know, it's got a good high, you know, affluent. Yeah, Park Slope is good. You know, you tell me the zip code, I can tell you if the kid's getting a good public school education. That's unfair because if you're in a rich area, you're getting educated better than you're in a poor area. So you're
cycling. School's free both places.
Yeah, you're cycling the kid downward. You're not giving the kid a chance. If you're moving the kid and he can't read, and you're moving him up in grades, you're being unfair to the kid. We got to create a platform of equal opportunity for these people.
Okay. You mind if I do very quick rapid fire? These are just rapid fire questions.
Mm-hmm.
You're a prolific reader. What's a book you think every person should read? Don't say the Torah though.
No, I mean, obviously, you know, I'm not going to say that. I think every person should read the Iliad and the Odyssey.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
And the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius.
I love that. Yeah.
You know, those are the types of books they should read.
Bill Hader's impression of you. Fan? Not a fan.
Yeah, I loved it. But I told Bill, you know, probably not enough hairspray, and I would have personally tied the tie a little tighter. But when he called me human cocaine, I was really laughing my ass off. I can take a punch, man. That's no problem.
Yeah.
You know?
I also feel like it wasn't. They weren't like ripping you to shreds. It was. There's a little bit of love under there. Maybe.
Hey, listen, man. You had Steve Colbert impersonating every night like I was some kind of mob boss, okay? And then they had cartoons. There's one of them over there. There's a cell of one of the cartoons over there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny. I didn't care. When I got fired, I called the guy up. He was surprised to hear from me.
Yeah.
I said, I'll come on the show. He said, you come on the show?
Right.
I said, yeah. I mean, you've been breaking my balls for 11 straight days. At least now I can come on the show and have a response.
Yeah.
You know, Jimmy Kimmel was lighting me up. I went and read the mean tweets.
Yeah.
And what are you going to be a baby?
Yeah.
You want to be a baby in life, or you want to take a punch?
Take a punch.
Okay, take a punch. Come on. He asked me if I thought I was going to last a long time in the White House. I said longer than a carton of milk in the refrigerator. I think I was going to get blown out before the milk spoiled. You know, I mean, what are you going to do? You're gonna whine and cry? You're going to own your shit and move on, man.
Yeah, I think this goes back to being secure and being insecure. If
That's
someone
like
makes fun of you, you don't give a damn. Like, if you're
lesson
secure,
of
then I
this
just don't
pod
care.
Has been own your shit.
But let's be brutally honest. Of course you fucking care. I would prefer the guy to say great things about me instead of shitting on me. But, you know, I'm not gonna, you know, not do that. You know what I mean? I'm gonna roll with it.
Yeah. Okay.
Love it.
So
I feel like you're getting the death stare from your.
You're getting called. You gave us a lot more time than you ever told us you
Yeah.
would. Thank you so much.
All right,
for this
good luck,
opportunity.
guys. Good luck with your
appreciate it.
podcast.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Good luck with your podcast.
All
Oh, by the way,
All right.
you never responded to my text from like a year and a half ago. I'm not happy
Which
with you
was
about that. Very unhappy.
I don't even
I've been trying to get hold
remember
of you for a long time. It's just you haven't responded to me.
All right, well, I don't know. I probably didn't see it, to be honest.
No, you did.
I was-
Those blue checks are on WhatsApp. They're there.
Oh, they did?
You
Yeah.
you saw
I
it.
don't fucking know. You know, I'm doing
He's
the
joking.
best I can. Man.
We really appreciate it.
All right,
Thank you so
God
much.
bless.
All right.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
That was